All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about what Angel Garcia had to say about the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight and why he is picking the guy that he's picking. And it brings up a subject related to resume that has been going back and forth in the boxing community for a while. Good discussion. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division, talking about what Angel Garcia had to say about Errol Spence and Terence Crawford fight, if it happens, and who he's picking and why. And it brings up a very interesting conversation about resume. Now, before I get into that, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a longtime subscriber to the channel, thank you so much for continuing to watch the videos in the live stream format and in the video format. Greatly appreciated. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to join the boxing community by hitting that subscribe button, hitting that bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos, which we do pretty much on a daily basis. All right, so look, man. Here we go. Old argument about Terence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr. and whether or not Terence Crawford really has the accomplishments that he says that he has and that many people believe he has in the sport. According to Angel Garcia, the answer to that is no. Now, if you're not familiar with who Angel Garcia is a trainer for Danny Garcia, who is a former WBC champion, former unified champion at 140 pounds. And one of the guys that has fought Errol Spence Jr., fought Terence Crawford in the amateurs. And I do believe Danny picked Errol Spence Jr. to win because of his strength and size, and the fact that he really believes that he's a much bigger guy and a stronger guy than Terence Crawford. So his father comes in, is pretty much asked the same question because there's a fight coming up this weekend between Danny Garcia and Jose Benavidez. So, everybody's asking this question and continuing to talk about it. So he was asked, and his take on it was really interesting, and one that I am going to tell you that I definitely disagree with. He said that he picked Errol Spence Jr. to win, and one of the reasons why he did it was he's like, look, you got to look at what the guys accomplished and what their resumes are. And he's specifically talking about what was going on at 147 pounds since Terence Crawford's been at 147 pounds. And he's saying, look, Terence Crawford ain't beat anybody in 147. Everybody that he fought was was not at their best when they beat him. And Errol Spence Jr., was the guy that has beaten better competition at 147 pounds. Right now, that is not something that is an unheard of statement that has been made, and I do believe there is some truth to that. Right, if you look at Terence Crawford's career, there really is an argument to be said that Terence Crawford was match made very well. Now, what does being match made very well mean? It means that you're fighting for a promotional company that has matchmakers. Matchmakers are people that make the fight and pick who fights who. And they have different criteria and reasons for making certain fights. And what they want to do, the matchmaker's job for the promoter, is to select opponents that will accomplish a couple things. One is give an exciting fight to the fight fans, right? So you don't want a fight where the fight's just going to look boring, where you get, a guy that is just, two guys that are just going to be jabbing each other for 12 rounds or 12 rounds. And, it's like rinse and repeat every single solitary round, right? They want to be able to give the fans some type of excitement. They also want to make sure if there's a prospect involved or a champion involved that is kind of their money guy and the big house fighter, they want to make sure that that fighter wins. So you have to so they have a balancing act between having an exciting fight and a fight that their guy can win. And also you want to be able to have the person that he's fighting have the crowd or the spectators that would pay for the fight believe that the guy actually has a chance. So sometimes what matchmakers will do is they will build up a fighter over a course of fights, get them some wins, some spectacular wins, make them look good, and then match him with their guy, knowing the whole time that this guy is more than likely going to win this fight because of the styles of the fight, right? And then they will, at the same time, move that fighter away from fighters that they believe will give him some difficulty, right? Or where there's a significant chance of losing. Bob Arum has said at a point in time had said that he would not, talking specifically about this kid named Mick Conlon out of Ireland, said that he and Top Rank are not going to give their young contenders, championship fights unless they are 80% sure that guy can win that fight. I have a suspicion that will also apply to a lot of the champions as well, where they don't want to make fights in certain circumstances unless there's an 80% chance their guy is going to win, right? Because the promoter's job is to continue to win and win and win and win and win and get 8, 9, 10, 12 fights out of a fighter. Anthony Joshua is a really good example of matchmaking, in my opinion, where Matchroom did not have him fight Deontay Wilder because they were looking at trying to get as many fights out of Anthony Joshua as they could because he was a popular fighter, and there's a lot of money to be made over time where he would win more fights over time and versus like maybe going in there with Deontay Wilder, who's a knockout puncher, and gets him out of there. So what Angel Garcia is saying is that since Terence Crawford has been at 147, there's been a lot of really careful matchmaking. And he also talked about it in 140. And he's like, look, man, he fought Indungo, the African dude that didn't have any chance, and he had 2 other straps, right? So he's pretty much just laying out a scenario and saying, look, man, Terence Crawford has had a lot of really convenient matchmaking during his career. And that's the reason why, he has the record that he has, and he's looked as good in a lot of these fights as he's actually looked versus Errol Spence Jr., who has not had that luxury of being carefully match-made. He's actually had to go out there and fight guys, that were really legitimate challenges for him at the time. And that's why he gives the advantage to Errol Spence. Now, for me, the disagreement that I have with that is that Terence Crawford, I do believe, I'm sure that there was a little bit of that going on because there is at Top Rank. That's just kind of what that's just kind of what they do. However, I don't think that means that he could not beat the other guys that are out there if you play matchmaker yourself and say, okay, what would he do against, like, say, a Danny Garcia? I think that would have been a very good fight because if those guys were at 140 pounds at the same time, but they weren't. But, I don't put as much weight into that, even though I do see what they're talking about, and a lot of Errol Spence Jr. fans also bring that up. But I do believe that it is a big step up if he's going to get in there with somebody that is not made really, 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 where he does not have a lot of the advantages that he does against other people, like Errol, who fights in the southpaw stance, and the matchmakers from Top Rank said through Bob Arum that they don't like to match Terence Crawford against southpaws because of some flaws that he has relative to fighting other southpaws, which we've talked about in other videos and can explain in the live streams. But just a very, very interesting conversation, man, about that and take that Angel Garcia had on it, which is what a lot of people are pointing to as well. But anyway, hopefully we'll get to see what that circumstance turns out to be. But just a very interesting take, and something that if you reflect on it, I do think will give you visibility, a little bit more visibility into the way boxing actually works with these guys as they're brought up through the ranks. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.